So it is no surprise that there is an obvious bias towards the male characters over the female characters in Genshin Impact. The game is after all another typical gacha game, where fan service will be catered towards the male fans by releasing a large variety of female characters that are overly revealing. It also does not help with the fact that hoyoverrse other gacha games are mostly females characters oriented, such as Honkai Impact 3D. So therefore, in this video I will talk about how do Genshin Impact treat their male characters in the game, and what is the difference between the male character scenarios and the female character scenarios in the game. So yeah, from the Genshin Impact player database collected from Sensor Tower, 45% of the players are women while rest of the 55% are men. This is surprisingly a well-balanced ratio, which is pretty rare to see in games, especially in a gacha game such as Genshin Impact. As such, many fans, mostly the female side of the player base, have voiced out their opinions about how hoyoverrse should consider and listen to them as well. First, let's talk about the biasness of treatment of male characters versus female characters, and let's look into the designs and models of the male characters. So the character designs for the male characters, especially the tall male models, have been quite lackluster. Some have criticized Arataki Ito's character model and expressed disappointment due to lack of muscles in his design. Ito has been described as a big and buff oni from all character stories and voice lines that has been said so far. Many fans were therefore excited about his official character design, as they anticipated a burly muscular man, and now imagine the surprise when his design dropped and his model in game looked just as the same as other skinny tall male models. Although it seems like hoyoverrse has seen the criticism and anger expressed by all the fans demanding defined muscular man, as Alhaitham has quite a different model from the rest of the playable tall male characters. From his in-game model, he has more defined muscles and abs, and it is different if compared with Ito, who is canonically muscular. Although the model feels like the bare minimum of buff, it is still the right step in the direction of male fan service characters. Now let's talk about the meta service. So the game is always bringing in a constant roster of playable characters to enhance the combat experience in the game. Due to this, there is an obvious meta system in play, with many characters performing differently compared to the rest, with saying that there has been a general argument in the community of the 5-star male characters not being as powerful and meta as the female characters. Fans have been coming up with conclusions that hoyoverrse is obviously favoring female characters by making them deal high damage and giving them good kits, while male characters are always badly designed in terms of kit and damage. While many of the top DPS are dominated by female characters, which involves the likes of Ayaka, Hutao, Ganyu, Raiden Shogun, etc. While there may not have been such a variety of power male DPS characters, the male supports have been pulling through the game, like Kazuha, Zhongli, Bennett and Xingqiu. There are many examples that male characters have been constantly in the highest tier for the sole fact of their amazing support capabilities. The male DPS characters in reality are not as lackluster and bad as people conceive them to be. Zhao, Tartaglia, Ayato, Ito, Wanderer, etc. have constantly been used in Spiral Abyss and can be 36 starred with the right builds alone. Now let's talk about the male characters versus the female characters' lore and personality in the game. There have been an ongoing debate within the community about how well received the story and lore are on both male and female characters. Many of them have frequently agreed that male characters in Genshin Impact has more interesting personality and lore, comparing to female characters that are claimed to be boring and mediocre, reducing them to characters with no depth. This is of course factually wrong, and the narrative seems to stem from how the game favors the male characters in terms giving them more lore relevant limited events and storylines compared to female characters who are barely given a chance to shine. For example, hoyoverrse has released many of their limited events that have either been very lore heavy on some characters or other being very slice of fun like events. Characters like Zhao and Albedo have been given chances to shine by giving them limited events that are centered on their stories, such as the annual Dragon Spine events for Albedo and the Kazmi event for Zhao. While in light-hearted events, characters like Zhangling and Keqing get back to back burner of being reduced to silly light-hearted adventures that do not talk about their characters. Female characters have very interesting personality and good lore to their stories, and this is only hidden away through character voice lines and profiles. In terms of bias, there is no surprise that hoyoverrse loves to let its male characters shine in these limited events. So what is the conclusion? Well, even though there is a clear bias towards the male fans in the Genshin community, it does not excuse the fact that there is a large number of female players in the community as well. Therefore, hoyoverrse should consider its female player base as much much as its male player base too. So yeah, but what is your opinion on this matter? Do you think that hoyoverse is biased on the male characters? Do comment down below and I will see you in the next one.